Hey guys, I'm Brad Phillips. I'm here with Puppy Steps Training. Today I got Dutch in the crate with me and we're going to be doing his demonstration for you. Dutch is awesome. He's such a good dog. He's a little bit older than most of our puppies, and so he's had a little bit more training, and he's just super solid. Just such a wonderful dog. Super sweet, very affectionate, and so we're super excited to send him to you. I'm sure you guys are going to love him, and you should be excited to get him. So before I let him out and we start going through all of his commands and showing you everything that we've done, there's a couple things that I got to talk to you about. First and foremost, remember, even though he's 6 months old, he's still a puppy. There's still going to be these times where he wants to test the water, he wants to see what he can get away with, and you do have to be patient with that. You also got to understand how to work through it. And so first and foremost, consistency. Being consistent, you and your family, is going to go a long ways. Being consistent with what we do is going to help him understand what your expectations are and what you want him to do. So in being consistent, the first thing you got to remember is our marker. So instead of a clicker, we use the word okay. And so he knows that every time he hears that word, something good is going to happen. He's done something correct. He knows that he did the good behavior and that he's going to get a treat, he's going to get a toy, he's going to get affection, something that's really motivating to him. And so just understand that. That's how we release him from a stay. That's basically just how we tell him that he did a good job. So on the other side of things, you do have to correct your dog, and so we use the word no or nope. We are a balanced dog training system, and so you do have to understand that we do correct our dog. And so if he does something wrong, I'm going to give him that correction. The severity of the correction depends upon the behavior. So if he did something simple, like say he just broke a stay, I would just tell him no, and I might step into him a little bit, but I'm going to have him do whatever we were doing over again. So if he broke a stay, I'll have him do a stay. Now if he does something a little bit more serious, like maybe he tried to jump up on me or steal food, I'm going to be a lot more firm the way that I present that correction, and so I'm going to do that by adjusting my voice fluctuation and my body language. Those two factors, dogs read really, really well, and so by me, getting kind of huffy and puffy and stepping towards them, a lot of times they're like, oh, okay, I did something wrong, and that's how we like to correct. We're not trying to, physically correct our dogs or hurt our dogs, but we want this relationship to be built around me being the leader. That way we have a mutually beneficial relationship versus me just dominating him all the time. We do use one type of physical correction, and that is a leash correction. And so that's 2 pops on the leash. So if he was pulling, I tell him easy, doesn't respond, it's 2 pops on the leash. If he tried to jump and I had a hold of the leash, it's 2 pops. Now, like I said, he's still a puppy. He's still at that 6-month mark, and so I'm not going to start applying a lot of pressure. And I still want things to be fun. I want training to be enjoyable. I want him to enjoy working with me. So that brings me to my one other point, which is management. Management is crucial if you want all this training to roll over. If you don't manage your dog, you don't have control. And if you don't have control, then what's stopping him from venturing out and testing the water? If you're out in the front yard and you don't have a fence or a long lead or something tied to him, what's stopping him from running after the mailman or running after the cat that he saw? But if you're managing him, if you have him on that long lead, if he goes, you can quickly correct him, and that way he understands that, hey, they do not want me to do this. He just doesn't get away with that behavior. Same thing in the house. While you're transitioning, you want all this house training to roll over. If you're not keeping 100% supervision over your dog, what's stopping him from going around the corner and peeing and you not even knowing about it? And so by giving him that 100% supervision, you're maintaining a level of control, and that way, that's how you properly manage a dog. And so I'll go over that a little bit more as we move on. But those are just a couple things I like to talk about. The second thing that I really like to talk about is socialization. So we've done a ton of that with Dutch, and he's awesome. He's done so good with it. But what that is basically exposure. Exposing him to different sounds, people, animals, textures, whatever we can think of, we try and expose them to in a controlled environment. That way I can see if there's any timid or anxious or aggressive behaviors, and we can really work to boost his confidence, which I haven't noticed anything with him. He seems to be very level-headed, very middle of the road, which is what I like in a dog, and so he's really good that way. But if you do notice him, getting nervous, whether it be a sound or a potted plant or anything, what you want to do to make sure that you create this environment where he feels comfortable, is focus on engagement. And so if I have a noise that's going on in the background and he just needs to get used to it, I'm going to step, a few, I don't know, 100, 200 yards away from that noise. Or even if it's something that's a little quieter, like a vacuum, I'll go into the other room and I'm going to focus on engagement, which is where he sits in front of me and I'm going to get him focused in me and I'm going to jackpot reward him. I'll just, okay, good boy, good boy, good boy, and just praise and just make it very rewarding. And I'll even start to build that up to where I'm doing commands and I just want that noise to become background, and so he doesn't even pay attention to it. And then as he starts to feel that comfort, we'll gradually work in and build that confidence in that noise. So that's what socialization is. Like I said, if you need to work on that, that's how to do it. But he seems great. So now, the remainder of the demonstration, I'm going to have him out. We're going to be doing commands and everything. And so the first thing, though, I'm going to show you is his manners. And then we'll do the obedience commands, his house training, crate training, leash training, all of that. So the first manner I'm going to show you is his gates and his doorways. So he knows every time he comes out of a crate, we go through a house door or even any door that I decide that I don't want him to break, we create this automatic behavior of him staying and waiting to be released. And so he for sure knows that coming out of the crate in our house door. You can teach him that, uphold that same expectation for your house door. Really useful, that way they're not just breaking out and you don't have to deal with a bolting dog. So I'm not going to tell him anything, but he should just know to do it. If he did break, I might simply close the door, lift my leg up and block him. If he was really persistent on pushing his way out, then I might actually tell him no. Okay, good boy. So okay being that marker, he knows that that releases him from the crate. I'll show you this house door when we go back outside. But the next manner I'm going to show you is his greeting. So anytime I call him over, Dutch, come. Before I give him any attention, I expect him to sit. You can see he does that automatically. I'm not telling him to sit. I'm also not giving him that hand signal. Good boy, good boy. And once he's sitting, then I'll go ahead and I'll pet him, give him that attention. And so that greeting is really important. It gives us his eye contact, which means he's gonna be focused in on me. It also gives him something to do. That way he's not trying to jump up. So it's a replacement behavior. Oh, good boy, good boy. And so we've worked a lot on his jumping. He's been really good for a long time. He doesn't really try and jump up on us anymore. If he does, we've taught him the command off. And so he knows if I tell him off, that means to get down, whether he's jumping up on the couch or he's jumping up on a person. Oh, good boy, good boy. So if he was running up to me and I thought, man, he's going to jump up on me, it's so important that you don't step backwards. As soon as you step back, it becomes a game. He's going to want to come even faster, even harder. And so instead, I'm always going to step into him. That way I restrict the space and I'm going to throw him off his timing. And then if he did jump up on me, I'm going to bring my knee up right into his chest. You're not trying to hurt him, but I am trying to knock him back and teaching him that he's not allowed to jump on me. If I had a hold of the leash and we were on a walk and he decided he wanted to jump up on somebody or something, that's where I would tell him off and I'd give him 2 pops. Like I said, he's doing really great there. But if you let him get away with any of these manners, he's going to learn that he can get away with it with you, and that's when you're going to have issues. Dogs are really cool in the fact that they create, or they understand expectations for different people. And so my expectations are high. However, if I have somebody that has low expectations and lets him jump on them, he's going to immediately associate that and he's going to know, like, hey, that guy, I can get away with stuff. So understand that, set your expectations, expect the manners, and he'll do great. Hop, hop, hop. So now I'm going to show you some mealtime manners here. I'll give him a little bit of food. When we feed him, I expect him to hold a sit stay. So where he's already sitting, I'll just ask him to stay. Okay, good boy. I expect him to look to me for permission to eat because I am that leader. Which we do spend a lot of time handling him when he eats, making sure that he doesn't have any type of food aggression or any resource guarding. And so I can even take his food bowl away. I can also hand feed him. I just want to make sure that he's not going to growl or get aggressive towards me at all. Good boy. Now, we want to make sure that we do a lot of aggression prevention. I don't want any aggressive tendencies. And so we spend a lot of time handling them. You know, his ears, his tail, his paws. Brushing him, I mean grooming is a big thing with these hairy dogs. He's also one that he loves to get dirty. But I want to make sure that I can wash him and that I can handle him and he's not going to have any type of aggressive tendencies or apprehension. Good boy. Let's try and steal some of my food. Good boy. Now, we also work on, you know, handling his mouth when he has toys, making sure he's not going to get aggressive with me. Good boy. Good boy. Same thing, I'll show you a bully stick in a minute, but he should know where my hands are, that he can't bite my hand, he can't get crazy. Good boy. And that he should be comfortable when he's chewing on stuff to have me near him. Good boy, good boy, good boy. Good boy. Also, I expect him to, you know, release these objects when I ask, and so that's our drop it command. So I'll wait for him to get back. When I have toys, I like to not have food on me. That way the toy is the reward. He's a little... He knows I have food, so. First thing in the morning, he's real excited to play. Let's see if I can get him a little more excited right now. Good boy, good boy. So I can ask him to drop it. Good boy. And I expect him to drop it on the ground and look up at me. I can also, you know, if he has it in his mouth, I can stop him. Drop it. Good boy. And he should physically release it. Shouldn't try and pull against me. Good boy. But he should be very comfortable with me taking things. And you know, when I have toys, like I said, I don't like to have food on me because that toy's that reward, and that's how you build that toy drive. Good boy. Every once in a while, he'll grab something, you know, that maybe you don't want him to, and you can give him that drop it command. And when I do that, I will give him a treat because I want, you know, to reward him for doing that. Because especially if it's something like dead, he loves to find dead raccoons. And so I want to make sure that I reward him for listening to me and then moving away from that. So I can tell him, Dutch, drop it. Okay, good boy. And you can see he looked up with me, or looked up at me, and then I gave him a treat. Good boy, good boy. So same thing like with a bully stick, you know, that's a very high value reward. He absolutely loves them. But I want him to drop it when I ask, as well as I want him to be comfortable with me handling it. And so there's no aggression there. Oh, good boy. And he's not gonna, you know, get anxious with me at all. And if I want him to, I can just tell him, drop it. Good boy, good boy. And he'll just let me have it. I'm gonna let him chew on that for just a second so I'm not teasing him. Good boy. Kind of going along with this, we also expect him to be very gentle with his teeth. And so I can tell him gently, and I expect him to be very cautious. He should just take it with his lips and tongue. And so even like with this, you know, if he was kind of lunging at it, I could just tell him gently, gently. Good boy. And you can see he just barely takes it. That's a good boy. Good boy. Drop it. Okay, good boy. Good boy. Good boy. And so same thing with treats though. You know, I like to put them in the palm of my hand, and that's where I recommend everybody does because there's less to grab. Whereas if you put it between your thumb and forefinger, you're kind of asking him to bite your fingers. But we do spend a lot of time making sure that he is going to be gentle that way. But especially kids, like I just don't want their fingers to get bit, and so it's always in the palm of your hand. That way, if he did lunge, it's just a natural reaction to close your fist and pull it back. But I'll just tell him gently, and I expect him to be very cautious. And he's super smooth, you know, very cautious with his teeth. Oh, you a good boy. So let's see. Other manners, you know, one of the big ones is going to be chewing. He's to the point where he's lost all of his baby teeth, but he is still cutting these molars. And so he's still going to have to chew. Like chewing is a behavior you just can't escape. And so you want to teach him what he's allowed to chew on and what he's not. And so that's where avoiding and replacing comes in. If you can avoid giving him free access to things that you don't want chewed up, that's always going to be the best way to prevent them from getting chewed up. However, it's never possible in your home. There's always something he has access to. And so that's where replacing comes in. And so if I saw him go up and he started chewing on something soft, maybe a pillow or if he had a soft bed or something, I would tell him no, and I would give him something soft. Try and replace based on texture. He wanted to go up and start chewing on a table leg, I would tell him no, and I would replace it with something like that bully stick. I said texture. So have a variety of different toys. Give him adequate things to chew on, especially during downtimes. So if you're watching a show, reading a book, just give him something to chew on. That way he'll take it to his bed and he'll relax for a minute. And that way you don't have to worry about him, getting bored and finding something to chew on. Boredom causes destructive behaviors. And that's not only boredom, like I said, that downtime, but that's also boredom with his own things. And so anytime I give him a toy to chew on, if he leaves it, I immediately take it away. That way there's this novelty effect there. He doesn't always have it. And I can also rotate his toys and get him real excited. And then also make sure that you're stimulating his mind and his body. If he's just doing nothing all day long, he's going to get bored, and that's where that destruction is going to happen. So, take him on walks, get that exercise out. Also, make him think, do training exercise, but stimulate him. So, are you a good boy? And he's super sweet. I mean, you can see just super mellow, easy going. You a good boy. So now we'll jump into our obedience commands. And so the first two that I want to talk about are his recall, which is come, and then watch me. Those are our two, commands that we teach from day one, and we put a lot of high value on. And so the first one is just to get eye contact, which I might have to get him back over here in frame so you can see this. Dutch, come here. And so the first one, like I said, just to get eye contact, that's a watch me command. Saying his name and getting him over here now, he's focused in on me. And so I can even just hold this treat right in front of him over here. Right here. Watch me. Okay, good boy. You can see he just turned and looked at me. That's all I'm looking for, is just that simple eye contact. That way I have his focus. Watch me. Okay, good boy. Good boy. Good boy. I always give him a treat with this. I want that high value. I want him to understand that something good is going to happen every time he looks at me. So, very useful command. We also use his name, very similar to that. When I say Dutch, I expect him to, focus in on me. If you do decide to change his name, you can very easily do some name association, the same way that we build this command. Just distract him, say the name, as soon as he makes eye contact, reward him, and then build that up. I do treat his name like an informal version, because after I get that name recognition, I no longer want to treat him every time I say his name, but I still want him to, look up at me. So his recall command is somewhat connected with that, because I like to get his attention before I deliver that come command. That way I know that he's looking at me, I know he's focused on me, and then I can deliver a meaningful command. And this recall is so important, but I see a lot of people burn it out. And the big reasons are, one, overuse. And so, don't sit there and call him to come all the time. Like, you don't need to, especially if he's inside. It's one of those management aspects, because you already have control of him. He can't run off and hide when he's inside, or he can't really escape anywhere. So he's going to come over to me if I say, Dutch, come here. See, he's going to come walking over, and that way I have his attention. Good boy. And so I never use the come command inside. But then when I use it outside, I like to practice it a lot. I like to take a long lead and let him get out and run around and explore and just be a dog. And then every minute or two, I'll call him to come just to give him a treat and let him go again. If he hesitates, I can reel him in. I have control. Once he's doing really, really well with that, then I'll let him off leash and I'll do the same thing. Every minute or two, call him to come just to keep him checking in, keeping him close. But do not let him off leash until you know that he's going to come to you every time. When I do call him to come, I like to be, very inviting, exciting. My voice will get a little bit higher. I'm very clear with the command, and I'll get down and, just invite him over. Oh, good boy. And so, just practice that command a lot. And also, if you do call him to come and he fails, just go and get him. Don't sit there and scream at him, because all that's going to do is make you very upset. And then when he does finally come back, you're going to, show him that you're mad, he's in trouble, and all you've done is taught your dog not to come to you. So use that recall, with caution, keep that integrity around it. Okay, so now let's go over our hand signals. The first one is a sit, which is just to scoop over his nose. Down, I'll take my hand flat and take him down, and then stay as a stop sign. So I'm going to get him off the bed here. Come here. So I'll just tell him sit. No, I don't want you on the bed. Come here. Sit. Down. Stay. Okay, good boy. So Dutch has great stays, phenomenal with, some good distractions. Don't be satisfied, always try to build those up. Also mentioned, so I put him in a down stay there. When I put him in a down stay, he's not allowed to come up. However, if I put him in a sit stay, I don't care if he lays down. Now you'll notice, he hesitated because I was right next to the bed. I didn't sit there and repeat myself, but instead I gave him time to process it. And so I'm going to have him hop off real quick. Come on. And I'm going to pick his bed up and show you again. If you can't tell, he absolutely loves his bed. So now I'm gonna do that sequence again. Well, I probably won't have him do a stay because I'll show you a sit stay in just a second. But touch, come here. Sit. Down. Okay, good boy. You can just see how much quicker that was. Because one, my body language is a little bit more clear because I'm not standing right next to the bed. And so you can see just how quickly they can get a little bit confused. And so I don't want to sit there and, no, down, get after him. But instead I want to check myself first. Good boy, huh? Up. Up. So now with the sit stay, so he's sitting, I'm just going to ask him to stay. Add a little distraction here, talk a little bit. You can just see how solid he is with those stays. Okay, good boy. He's just awesome with them. Good boy, huh? So my next two commands don't necessarily have a strict hand signal. It's more so about my body language. And they're both like a place command. And so I'm going to show you Dutch, crate. I'll just step near, tell him crate. I will give him a treat when he goes in, and then he's expected to stay until released. If he hesitated, I could tap on the top or something like that. Okay, good boy, good boy, good boy. Dutch, crate. Now the crate command, like the come command, is one that you do want to practice a lot, because if you only use it, when you lock him up, pretty soon he's going to understand that and he'll not want to go into the crate anymore, because he knows they're leaving, or for some reason they're locking me up, and he'll turn and go the other way. So keep it fun, keep it variable. Okay, you're walking past it, just send him in a couple times, just to give him a treat, and then let him go again. Put him in there for a minute, let him out. Just keep it random. And very similar, I can tell him, Dutch, go to bed. When I tell him to go to his bed, I don't care what position he's in, as long as all four paws are on the bed. And then, similar to the crate, he's expected to stay until he's released. Now, a bed command, he's probably, he's up past 30 seconds to a minute. But don't be satisfied. Always build it up. A go to bed command, that place command, easily build up to, 10, 20, 30 minutes. That is no problem at all. Okay, good boy, good boy. So, he's awesome there. The last command is a leave it command, and so I'm going to show you real quick with some food here. We practice this a lot with food because it's a higher value. They want to get it a little bit more, as well as outside, like I mentioned earlier, raccoons. We've had so many raccoons that he just likes to go and find them. And so I'm going to drop this treat on the ground here. And I'm going to tell him to leave it. Okay, Dutch. Good boy. You can see, I got that really close to him. But when I tell him leave it, he's supposed to leave it permanently. I don't want him to run over there and get it. You can see also I've given him a lot more freedom with this command. My younger puppies, I like to keep a leash on him when we work with food, because sometimes I have to give him just a little bit of pressure. But he's awesome. And he's leaving that treat. Leave it. Good boy, come here. And so he should be able to walk away. I'm going to tell him to leave it. Go to bed. Good boy. I'm going to find you something good like some cheese. So, awesome command. You know, if he does find something that you don't want him to get, tell him to leave it, and then, you know, remove him from that distraction. Good boy. Good boy. So, oh, go to bed. That was my fault. I sent you to your bed and then let you get off. Okay, good boy. Good boy. So, with that, we're going to talk about his crate training for a minute and then his house training. So, his crate, he's just great in the crate. He sleeps there all night, so we put him to bed at about 10, get him out at 6. He never needs to get out. He's really good. Doesn't have any accident. He's also good in there for 4 to 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours during the day without needing a break, without having accidents. With that being said, when he transitions over to your home, that is going to invite a lot of stress, and so he may need a break. That stress often causes a loose stool. It also causes them to have to go to the bathroom more frequently. And so I wouldn't, you know, push him. I would make sure that you give him an adequate break, and he'll do great. He doesn't whine in there. He shouldn't. If he did, I would just tell him no hush, and I expect him to quiet down. But he's done awesome in the crate. Like I said, sleeping through the night. But if he does start to cry in the middle of the night, you may need to give him a break just because of that transition. Hop up. Let's see. So now we'll talk about his house training. So once again, he's done great with this. We haven't had an accident in months. He's just awesome. But as you know, going to a new place, he doesn't know where the bells are at. He doesn't know where he's allowed to go to the bathroom. And so there is going to be this transition period where you need to assure him that they mean the same thing at your house, or you have the same expectations as I do. And so I'm going to show you a quick way to do that, to transition those bells and a whole little routine. It is going to be a little inconvenient the first couple days, but it will provide you the opportunity to get him transitioned over really quick and without any accidents. The key is just following the instructions. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to get him excited about the bells. I want an opportunity to get him to ring them and show them where they're going to be in your home. And so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take the bells off the door, and I'm just going to have him ring them. I'm just going to, you know, just like this. Okay, good boy. And I'll reward him every time he touches them. I'm not going to say anything to have him target them, but it's called free shaping, and that just means he's going to teach himself. And so I'm just going to stare, okay, at the bells and allow him to touch them all by himself. I'm not going to bounce him off his nose or anything. I'm not going to sit here and shake him, but I just want him to seek them out. Okay, good boy. And I'll let him just hit him, you know, 1 or 2 more times, just so. Okay, good boy. And I don't care how loud it is at this point, because he'll do it loud off the door. Okay, good boy, good boy. So then I'll bring him over to the door, and I'm going to grab a leash here, and I'm going to do basically the same thing, except for I'll switch my wording up a little bit. Okay, outside, and I'll start emphasizing the word outside. Okay, outside, good boy. We'll do it one more time here, and I'm going to take him out. Okay, outside, good boy. Now I do expect him to wait at the doorway. Okay. Okay. So when I take him outside, I give him maybe a minute or 2 to sniff around and find a spot to go to the bathroom. If you want him to go to one general area, or one specific area I should say, I'll take him by the leash there every time for the first few months. When he goes, I'll tell him, okay, get outside, good boy, and I'll praise him. I'll give him treats, yeah, good boy. And make it really exciting to go to the bathroom. If he doesn't go, I just come right back in. There's no sense in, there's no sense, but I never let him play when we go outside to go to the bathroom, and I'm also not going to praise him for not going to the bathroom. I want the reward to eventually come only when he goes to the bathroom. So if I were doing this at your house, I would turn around and I'd have him ring the bells again, like 2 or 3 more times, give him a treat every time he touches them, then go back outside. And I would do that like 4 or 5 times. I just want these repetitions so he's able to see the bells, ring them, and go out to the potty area. Like I said, if he doesn't go, you just come back in. There's no worries there. Now, after you've done that exercise, then for most of my little puppies, I set a timer for every 30 minutes, but for him, he's older. For the first day, I would do every hour, just so he doesn't have an opportunity to have an accident. So set a timer for an hour. After that goes off, walk him over, let him ring the bells. For the first day, I will treat him when he rings the bells, and then we go outside, and I will treat him again if he goes to the bathroom. After that first day, you could go to an hour and a half timer and then work up to 2 hours. So generally 2 hours is my standard for all my puppies. However, he's going to surpass that. I would just be very easy. I wouldn't push him too hard, too fast. Make sure that you give him adequate time to have all these repetitions and be able to understand that, he's supposed to go to the bathroom out there. During that time, if he's in the crate, you don't have to let him out every hour. He's going to be fine in there. Also, I would recommend, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But as he's transitioning, I would control his food and water. We feed him twice a day, morning and night, so generally about 6:30 in the morning at 6 in the evening. We don't free feed at all, but then water, we generally give free access. However, during the first couple days, I would limit his access, give it to him, with meals and like 4 other times throughout the day. Something easy like that. The big part of transitioning house training is giving him that 100% supervision. If you aren't paying attention and he sneaks off and has an accident, there's nothing you can do about it. The old style, rubbing the nose in it, it doesn't work. He's already forgot about it by the time you find it. So instead, that 100% supervision is going to prevent accidents from happening. But then, say for some reason he did have an accident, he started to pee in front of me. It provides a really unique opportunity to create a situation that's black and white. And so if he started peeing, I would stomp, I'd clap, no, and I'd just grab him and run him outside. The goal is to startle him. That's going to be the most aggressive or scary my voice is ever going to get. But I want him to stop peeing, and then I'll get him outside, and that's where the hard part comes, because if he then can finish outside, I will reward him and be very positive, and so that's where that black and white comes. Got in trouble for peeing in the house, got rewarded for peeing out here. And then you have dogs, and so you know the signals. If he does start, sniffing real heavily, or pacing, spinning circles, those are all indicators that he does need to go. Also, coming out of the crate, the first couple days, I would just take advantage of that and take him over to the bells. Okay, outside, good boy. So I am going to take him back out. That exercise does get him excited about the bells. So, okay, good boy. Okay. So if you do have any questions with the house training, just let me know. I will give you a leash to drag around, and that way, the first little bit, if you do need to quickly grab him, you can have him dragging around that leash. Gives you a quick way to correct him. So now with his leash work, that's our final phase. So we do take him on 2 different types of walks. The first one is that off-leash or long lead walk that we kind of mentioned earlier, and then his attention walk. So with that long lead, keep him on a long lead until you know he's going to come back to you, and then gradually let him off leash. But really focus on building that recall command, making sure that is firm, because that is a very advanced command and you always need to work on it. But that type of walk is great just for their mental health. To get out, we like to go to the lake or to the creek and just let them run. But when we do that, we really work on that come command, and so keeping him checking in, really building that command. And then our other type of walk is our attention walk, and so that's if we're going for a walk around the block or out in public. That's where I want him by my side with a loose leash and focusing in on me. And so we're actually going to go outside and I'll show you that walk. There are 2 commands. The first is let's go, just signifying that we are moving, and then easy if he starts to pull. So we'll go outside on the road and show you that. When I start this type of walk, I like to have him sit just so I can get his attention. Dutch, sit, good boy. And then I'm going to tell him let's go. I do expect him by my side, loose leash, and I'll show you my expectations here. Let's go. See, I like to really shorten the leash, but he's really good here. Let's go. I will tell him let's go when I make corners. Then when I stop, I expect him to sit. Good boy. Let's go. Let's go. Good boy. Now if he started to pull, I would tell him easy, and I give him 2 pops, and I expect him to turn and put the slack back in the leash, focus back on me. I also don't let him cross back and forth in front of me when I'm walking. If he started walking into me, I just give him a little bit of leash pressure out, or step into him, something like that. Let's go. So if you do have any questions, don't hesitate, give me a call. Dutch is awesome. He's such a good dog. You guys are getting a good one. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Let's go.